Hey, Amelia, I'm with Chef Steve from Francesca's. How's it going?
It's going great.
You had a pretty big taste of buffalo this year.
Yeah, we were rookies there, and it was our first time, and we actually won an award. So we won Best Comfort Food.
For
our eggplant fried Diablo.
And some of the people have tried it here, and they say it's delicious.
Oh, well, thank you. It's even better in the restaurant.
All right.
Because we had to chop up the hot pepper with we have stuffed hot peppers in the middle of the eggplant. And we had to chop it up and make miniature ones. But in the restaurant, you get the full stuffed hot peppers right in the middle of the eggplant, and it's fabulous. It's really
to die
good.
for?
Oh, it is.
All right. So what are we making today? I'm sure something equally as fabulous.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a really good chicken dish. It's something you don't make every day, so if you want to do something a little fancy and impress some people, this is the dish for you. And what it is, it's a pan-seared chicken in an oyster mushroom cognac sauce over a smoked Swiss char.
Okay, so it sounds like you need to be knowing what you're doing in the kitchen in order to do this.
You know what? It's just a matter of really doing it. And then if you know how to cook a little bit, it's not that hard.
All right. Well, we'll give it a try. So first, let's just go over the ingredients.
Okay.
What do we got here?
Well, we have sugar and salt. We have oyster mushrooms, which these are kind of a specialty mushroom. They grow underground, and you might not be able to get them anywhere. You can substitute other mushrooms for it.
What would you use if you can't find the oyster mushrooms?
I mean, you could use like a portobello mushroom, something a little beefier, and that's going to have to cut into.
Okay.
You know, not something too delicate. Okay, you want a more hearty mushroom.
All right, sounds good.
And then we have some yellow and orange peppers, bell pepper that I've diced up, some fresh parsley, a little bit of butter, a little bit of pepper. We have some shallots chopped up, or onion if you don't have shallots. Some cognac. So we have, I'm using Hennessy, but
Okay.
a nice cognac is good. But you could, if you prefer brandy, you could use brandy or a different type of cognac. And then chicken stock. And then, you know, instead of, we have Swiss char, of course, a little fresh parsley, chicken, white wine.
Well, I can't wait to get started
Yeah.
cooking on this, but for now, we're going to send it on over to Emily Lenahan with your .com check. All right, we are back in the kitchen with Chef Steve from Francesca's. We are about ready to get this cooking. You already just made one that we're going to show a little bit later on,
Yeah.
and it smells so good in here. I can't wait to get this started. So what's the first step?
Okay, the first step is I'm gonna empty my pan out here. The first step is we're gonna put a little bit of butter in the pan with a little bit of oil. So about one tablespoon of butter. Okay, and turn this baby on. Of course, doesn't want to turn on.
Of course.
I'll go over here. So, anyways, we're gonna get some butter, a little bit of oil in the pan.
And why do you mix the two?
You know, just
flavor,
cooking
or?
mediums. You know, the oil is not going to really give it much flavor. The butter is going to give it the chicken a little bit of flavor. It's going to allow it to brown. So, you know, you could use just oil if you wanted to. But, you know, for this dish, the butter complements the cognac.
Okay.
So you want to really get a little bit of butter in the pan there. So I'm going to get a little chicken breast, a boneless chicken breast. I've cleaned it off, and we're going to start cooking that. I've got it on a high flame because I'm going to brown it on each side. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add our ingredients in. Now I've already prepped them. I explained how I have oyster mushrooms, which are pretty much a specialty mushroom, and you don't want to put these in too soon. You want to wait till the chicken's about halfway cooked, okay?
Okay.
Because you don't want to overcook them. They'll shrivel up, and they're really a beautiful mushroom. So anyways, what we're going to do then, we're going to start cooking the harder, like the peppers. They'll take a little bit longer to cook. So I did yellow and orange just because the Swiss char is green, and it's going to stand out nice, and it's going to be nice and bright, and it's going to, you know, make the dish look pretty.
Awesome.
Okay? So there's your peppers. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of salt to my chicken with a little bit of pepper. Okay, just season it a little bit. And then on the other side, when I flip it, I'll do the same.
All right.
Okay?
Well, I think this is a perfect stopping point. We're going to keep cooking, but for now, we're going to send it on over to Matt. Yeah, you know, Matt, I'm impressed with your quilt making skills. I'm guessing you had a little bit of help, though, with that. So we are going to go ahead and we're taking off where we left off before.
Yeah.
We've got the chicken in here. We've got the peppers. Looks like you got a little onion.
Chicken's further along. It's pretty well cooked. It's maybe got a couple more minutes. We put in onion, the shallots with the yellow pepper, and the orange pepper. And I'm just going to show you, we're going to get our Swiss char started because this has to cook for about 5 minutes, and it's about all the time we have. So when you're cutting the Swiss char, you want to really cut the stem part like celery, and you want to cut it kind of thin, okay? Because you don't want too big of pieces when it's mixed into the rest of the Swiss char. So you want to kind of mince it, cut it thin, okay?
And then surprisingly, we're not just using the leaves.
No, this really gives it a really nice texture, and it has like a beet flavor.
Okay.
So it's really good. So anyways, then you want to chop the Swiss char in bigger pieces, okay? And that's gonna, think of it as like spinach. It's gonna wilt down, and it's gonna be a lot smaller quantity when you're finished cooking it. And basically, you got to rinse Swiss char really good, okay? I think it grows in sand, and it's a lot of times it has like a sandy texture to it. So what I did was I rinsed it and a couple times before I cut it. Okay. And then basically we're going to put it on the flame here. We're going to cover it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of chicken stock in, okay? And then I'm going to take, we have liquid smoke because, you know, it's not practical to bring a smoker inside, but we're doing a smoked Swiss char. You can get liquid smoke at Tops or anywhere and pick it up. And I'm just going to give it a light smoke flavor, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a little bit in there, and we're going to cover it. We're going to let that steam for about 4 minutes, and it'll be ready to go when we're ready, when that's done. Next, we're gonna make our sauce, our cognac sauce. So we have the chicken here, we have the vegetables in here, and they're kind of darkening. Okay, don't worry about that they get too dark, because when we deglaze them, it's going to actually make the sauce darker and richer, and it's going to taste really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my oyster mushrooms in now. Okay, so these you don't want to cook too long, maybe about 3 minutes. Okay, and we're about 3 minutes away from the point where we would be done with the dish. So what I'm going to do is oyster mushrooms, the way they grow is they're kind of like off a stem. And so what you want to do is you want to kind of pick them away like this, okay, and separate them. You don't want them into a big piece.
Okay.
So we're going to cook those like that. Next, we're going to add a little bit of parsley, a little pinch of parsley, okay? And parsley does have flavor. A lot of people think it's just a garnish, but it really does have a flavor. Here's our sugar. I'm going to add a pinch of sugar in here. Okay, just around here.
Kind of a surprise ingredient.
Yeah, it goes in line with the butter and the sugar and the cognac, which actually is the key ingredients to making a really, not sweet, but a savory sauce. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so we're going to melt this down. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little bit of the cognac. Okay.
How much is that? Approximately?
It's about 2 ounces.
2 ounces.
This is 4 ounces, but I put half in.
Okay, perfect.
So you'll smell that coming. And now, as you deglaze it, if you leave it on the flame a little too long, don't worry about it. Just add a little bit more. Okay. And then we have a white wine. This is a sweet and fruity white wine that I'm using, but it has a touch of dry, background to it. So it really complements this dish really well. So we're going to add a little bit of white wine on top of that.
See, I always wonder that when a recipe calls for a dry white, and I go into, the store, and there's all these options. How do you know what to choose?
Go with one that you like the flavor. It's that simple. If you like the flavor, you're going to like the flavor in your food.
Perfect.
Okay. So you see it's starting to turn a little bit like a gravy almost. Okay. Smell that. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it smells awesome.
Okay. So now.
I can't wait to try it.
It is very good. Now I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock to this also, just a touch. Okay. Oops. And we'll just cook this off real quick, and it's almost finished.
And we do have a finished one in the oven. Should I go ahead and grab that out?
Yeah.
It just looks amazing. All right. And so when people go ahead and taste this, they're going to be getting that savory, little hint of sweet.
Yeah, so what you have is you have levels of flavor. So you have on the chicken and textures also. So you want levels of texture, levels of flavor. So you have the snap in the vegetables like the peppers and the Swiss char stem, and then you have the mushrooms, which are like meatier and tender, and the chicken, of course. Everyone knows the tenderness of chicken, but we seared the outside, so it's going to be moist and juicy on the inside, seared on the outside, and then the cognac. You know, the level of flavors, you're going to get that smoked flavor from the Swiss char and its natural flavors, along with the cognac, which is a kind of a warming feeling, and it's really nice.
I think all of my coworkers are jealous right now because I get to taste this, and they're gonna have to wait a little bit.
You don't know, but we have Tuesday Schmooze Day because I haven't done this with you, and tonight we're featuring this as one of our $10 entrees.
Great.
Only tonight though.
Great.
So come on in for Tuesday Schmooze Day, and we also have a Groupon running. So
check that out. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back. Amelia sneaked out just in time. Everybody's been devouring the chicken dish throughout the break. But now we're going to work on our second helping, which is actually a soup that we're going to be making with the leftovers.
Yeah, so this is really leftovers, really. This is leftover from the mushrooms and the peppers and the onions in the stock that we were making for the sauce over the chicken.
So we're not throwing anything out then.
So we have the leftover Swiss char in here with the peppers and stuff. I'm gonna throw this right in here, which has the flavor of the cognac and the white wine. Okay. So we're gonna mix that in, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take heavy cream, and we're gonna pour heavy cream in here, and we're gonna make a soup. We're gonna make a cream soup, and it's a matter of just adding in the heavy cream, heating it, and then adding a little bit of chicken stock. And then I'm cooking more chicken here. You could cube or cube up the chicken and then throw it in there once it's cooked. And then you have a chicken, base, or a chicken, there's a chicken stock there. So we have a chicken with the the greens here.
Yeah. So I'm guessing because it has the cream in there, it's going to be a little bit of a heavier, more filling soup for you.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a comfort soup, on a nice warm day.
So if you're not overly hungry, it'll definitely fill you up and be enough for a meal.
Absolutely. And so you just bring that to temperature, and you have all your peppers, your onions, your mushrooms, chicken, and that's it.
And so if it starts to get too thick, do you just add a little more chicken stock, or what's the kind of the game plan?
Yeah, and it depends if you salt and pepper to taste, and if you wanted a little more of the cognac, or that unique cognac flavor, you could do that. The recipe really is already put together. So really, all you have to do is add the heavy cream, a little bit of chicken stock, and whatever you like in there, like chicken.
Well, I like that. Nice and easy.
Yeah, it is. It's very easy to do, and it's a good way to make use of your leftovers.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us today, Chef Steve.
It's my pleasure.
And for now, we're going to send it on